look like a chill guy. Look like a guy, you know, we could all be friends with.
Gavito was arrested in 1999 and convicted of murdering 193 children.
What? What did they do? They were just spawned in, bro. They just got off the battle bus. Relax. When I say evil people, what comes to mind? Maybe EDP, P. Diddy, the Mustache Man, Jeffrey Epstein, Jeffrey Dahmer, you name it. But what about the people we've never heard of? Because I'm sure there is a long laundry list of people that have done heinous crimes on this earth that don't really get the right history, media coverage that they deserve, per se. For example, off the top of my head, bro, I never really learned about all the crazy things that Genghis Khan did until after I graduated high school. And I'm like, dude, maybe my high school was just trash, though. So today we're gonna be checking out the most evil people you've never heard of.
Evil people you've never heard of.
Yup. Vaseline bloke? Are you German? German white guy is my guess.
They say that if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
True.
A quote that perfectly describes Vasily Blokhin, the deadliest executioner in known human history. Blokhin.
Why is he posted up like this? Okay, baddie. Okay. Bro hitting that. You got the zesty shooter pose going on. I'm not mad at him. June was last month, bro.
Over the years, he became the perfect soldier.
How?
One who is able to perform tasks effectively, efficiently, and without hesitation.
Okay.
This, of
Effective, efficient, no effing around. Sounds like the way you describe an abortion, but yeah.
course, really accelerated Blokhin's military career, as in 1921, he was recruited into the Soviet secret police organization known as the NKVD.
Okay.
One bonus on his extensive resume was his innate ability to remain emotionally numb when—
Brother, you have a resume? About me, I'm a hard worker who loves to kill. I kill, no problem. You want kill? I kill. Kill all thing. Kill all spider, kill fly, kill your uncle, kill many guy. Kill poet. Okay, yeah, he was definitely a Russian for sure.
carrying out acts of violence. He simply saw it as part of the job, comparative to menial tasks like filing paperwork or having to put up with Deborah from HR's incessant complaints that your funny shirt just isn't work appropriate. Blokhin's unique skill, if you would call it that, quickly distinguished him amongst his peers.
Okay.
If you needed someone dead, Vasily was your guy.
Right there.
His work and unwavering loyalty continued to—
This is what you look like? You don't look murderous. You don't look tough. Your hairline is receding and you're overweight, dude. You look like a tubby. You look cuddly, bro. I'll give you a hug.
In just
Yo,
6
chat, we not
years,
scared.
he was
We ain't
assigned
scared.
as
Me,
head
you,
of a
we.
newly created branch of the NKVD by Mr. Supreme Soviet leader guy Joseph Stalin, a branch specifically designed for executions.
Oh, wow.
With that, Blokhin had become one of Stalin's most trusted workers, executing low and high-profile targets without question. That goes right up on fridge.
Damn near. Oh. Okay.
During his service, Blokhin had personally—
Bro, what are these poses, bro? You know what? I'm off that. My bad. What the? Yo, why do you have the Excalibur in your hand? Why do you have Zoro's Enma? Zangetsu. Brief intermission. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure you sub to the channel. We are on the road to 30,000 subscribers. Thank you very much.
Executed thousands of people, including high-ranking Soviet officials, during the Great Purge, an internal mass execution of anyone remotely accused of opposing Stalin's rule. Blokhin himself had been spared from the purge due to his repeated proofs of loyalty to the Soviet cause. His magnum opus being his involvement in the Katyn massacre.
What's that?
Now, if you've never heard of the Katyn massacre, I wouldn't be surprised. When teaching about World War II, history class—
Japanese war crimes, US war crimes, British war crimes, Italian war crimes.
tend to focus on German war atrocities and kind of skim over all of the other ones, especially the Soviet Union's.
No, that's a fact, bro, because especially with the way Japan is, freaking anime, you know, sushi, ramen, all the above, you will never think the history was so devious and dark and there was so much like genocide going on, bro.
Despite the German invasion of Poland in 1939 and World War II officially starting, the Allied powers of Great Britain and France—
Whoa, hey, cheeky country. Get away from behind them. That's unconsensual.
Much in retaliation.
Oh, Germany, you better leave Poland alone.
Oh, fair point. Carry on. The big bad Soviet Union had also invaded Poland just a few weeks later, capturing hundreds of thousands of Polish prisoners of war. Many of which were sent to labor camps, but in the spring of 1940, around 22,000 prisoners consisting of Polish officers, engineers, teachers, and other civilians were systematically executed under Blokhin's supervision.
Blokhin, dude. You executed 22,000 officers, engineers, teachers, journalists, lawyers, pilots, doctors, and farmers. This dude has zero regard for human life, bro.
With Blokhin himself having personally executed over—
Can you execute me? As a matter of fact, bro, I got a list of people that you should execute. Number one, How much would it cost for you to take out? You know what? I'm actually not going to list anybody's because the FBI might be watching this video. I'm sorry.
7,000 people in just 28 days. Now think about that for a second. 7,000 people in 28 days.
My guy's killing, what, 40? 7,000 divided by 28. You take the 2, you put the 8, divide 400?
It's 250 people a day. Now, Vulcan and his men reportedly would work 10-hour days nonstop, so
close enough, bro.
25 people an hour, or one person every 2 to 3 minutes.
You're murdering one person every 2 to 3 minutes. How do you even have the ammunition to do that? The freaking strength, the power. As a matter of fact, bro, even as an executioner myself, I'm thinking, bro, I would get tired. I would get tired of freaking whacking people down with knives, with swords. How much were they paying him, by the way? Were they giving him overtime? Was he getting bonuses? Was he able to contribute to his 401k? Did he have health insurance?
Directly through ordering his men, but this was by his own hand.
Oh, damn.
Vulcan had pretty much developed an assembly line of death so efficient it would make Henry Ford envious. Prisoners would be escorted into a soundproofed room against a sandbag-lined wall. Without a word, these prisoners' last sensation would be feeling the muzzle of a German pistol in the back of their neck.
Bro, look at this image, bro. He just bent over ready to take it, just ready to just blow it out, blow his brains out. Blocking, sick man, sick man.
Before being brutally murdered. Wait, a German pistol? I hear you ask.
Yeah.
Why would Soviets be using German pistols?
Good question.
2 words.
Because Adolf.
Plausible deniability.
Never mind.
Think of it this way. If thousands of victims in mass graves happen to be found with German bullets lodged in their noggins, who do you think's going to be blamed?
Oh,
look at us. It was them. Blokhin's massacre is regarded as the largest mass murder conducted by a single person in known human history.
God damn.
Acknowledged by the coveted Guinness Book of World Records.
Dude, this dude is in the Guinness Book of World Records for murder? That's actually wild. That's actually wild.
Really stretching for content there. It is believed that throughout his career, Blokhin's personal kill count had reached tens of thousands, but his spree would soon come to an end.
Okay.
After Stalin privately passed away in a puddle of piss in 1953,
he did?
Blokhin was forced into...
Wait, that's how Stalin went out? Is that actually how he died? No, I gotta research that, bro. No, Joseph Stalin was not found in urine. Fake news, I knew it. If he was, oh yeah, I'm on your head, bro. How you die on your own piss, bro?
Blokhin was forced into retirement and disgrace.
Just look at this man. He looks like he did some bad stuff, bro. Look at him. He's like...
He was ostracized by the public and stripped of his military honors during the de-Stalinization of the Soviet Union. So, of course, he did what any Russian does when they're sad or happy or breathing. He consumed a lot of alcohol.
Oh,
a habit that eventually led to his death in 1955
Good riddance.
At the age of 60.
Ante Pavlov. I'm gonna guess South America here.
Right after the thrilling events of World War I in 1918, the Austro-Hungarian Empire collapsed. With a little bit of elbow grease and the mashing together of various kingdoms and regions, a new political entity was formed. The state of Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs. Home to many Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs.
The state of Slovenes, Croats, and Serbs. Is this Croatia? Or do they split it up and turn it into Serbia, Croatia, and Slovenia? Somebody let me know. I'm assuming,
One of those kingdoms thrown in the mix was Croatia, the birthplace of this stern jug of juice.
Jug of juice? Yeah, who pissed in your cereal, buddy? Look at him. He just looks like he smelled a fart.
Pavlov.
He just upset.
His main personality trait was loving Croatia. God, he loved Croatia. So much so that he made a name for himself and rose through the ranks as a politician and representative in state parliament in order to demand Croatian independence. But this guy, Alexander I, had other ideas. Who's he? Well, he's the Prince Regent in these parts and the one who just got done unifying all of these kingdoms and states.
Shout out to him.
Years and years of political turmoil.
Is this a Chrome Hearts necklace? That's kind of fire, though.
Ensued, which is honestly to be expected when you force a bunch of different political regions together into singularity. In 1929, now King Alexander had hit a boiling point.
What?
In order to regain
What, they give him the Burger King crown? Yo, this type of crazy disrespect, bro.
He dismantled and banned all political parties, declaring a royal dictatorship. He even came up with a new name for his kingdom, Yugoslavia.
Yugoslavia. Hey, this is what Drake said. Wherever you go, I go, brother, with Yugoslavia. Y'all remember that one song?
Yugoslavia. But since Yugoslavia is not Croatia, Pavlov had it. He fled the kingdom and conspired with revolutionary groups to undermine the rule of Yugoslavia, who responded, "Do you want a death sentence? Because that's how you get a death sentence." And so Pavlov got a death sentence. He was exiled to Germany, but since he didn't feel like dying quite yet, he instead skedaddled off to seek asylum in Italy.
So what was the evil he did?
He used his political influence and persuasive stern look to form the Ustasha, a Croatian nationalist movement aimed at achieving Croatian independence by any means necessary. And you can bet your fat tits that means bombings.
Bet my what? My fat what?
Assassinations and uprisings.
Oh.
During said uprisings, King Alexander regrettably stated,
if you want a regime change, you
What?
need to kill me.
They did.
Oh, wow, they got him out of here like JFK. Freaking John Wilkes Booth. See you later, pal. Yo, do not ever threaten people with something that you do not want.
On October 9th, 1934,
What?
King Alexander I was assassinated by Ustasha member Vlado Chernozemski
Okay.
using a handgun hidden in a bouquet of flowers. Still living in...
Dude, you telling me a dude in a fedora pulled up like these and put me to my demise, end of my life? Now that's what you call a floral ending. I don't even know what that means. Let me stop making jokes, man. Sorry.
Thanks to his political privileges,
That's
Pavlovich was
racist.
only put under house arrest for 18 months. That'll teach him.
They gave him house arrest for murder of an important government official? What type of rules and regulation was going on back then? What the hell?
Oh, here we go. Looks like Germany's back at it again, and the world collectively Versailles in disappointment.
Versailles?
After the invasion
As
of
in
France
the Treaty of Versailles? Haha.
1940, Nazi Germany invaded Yugoslavia in 1941.
Of course they did. They invade
This
everybody.
ultimately resulted in Pavlovich being installed as dictator to a newly independent Croatia. The
Okay.
big mustache himself even met with Pavlovich and gave some pointers in the art of...
Oh, the famous mustache. I could recognize that from a mile away. I could smell it from me over here, bro.
The mean mustache himself even met with Pavlovich and gave some pointers in the art of ethnic cleansing. The only art he ever saw any success in.
Yo, leave it to freaking Adolf himself to go up there and be like, hey, I don't even know how freaking Germans talk. I'm sorry. I was about to give a crazy German accent. Maybe if you could just kill everybody who's not, the superior race, that would be for the better of your country.
Pavlovich would soon put this advice into action. During World War II, Pavlovich had created his own network of concentration camps run by his beloved Ustasha.
Damn.
One of which being the Sisak concentration camp.
Sisak.
The only known camps specifically designed for children. These camps carried out the collection and mass murder of nearly 400,000 Serbs, Jews, and Romani, with an additional 300,000 either exiled or forcibly converted.
Holy relax, dude. What did the children do? Why are their kids in the concentration camps? What did they do? They were just spawned in, bro. They just got birthed. This is the epitome of like spawn camping in Call of Duty, bro. They just got off the battle bus. Relax. What did they do to deserve that?
Eastern Orthodox Christianity, all for the sake of Croatian ethnic homogeneity.
Wow.
Towns were completely ransacked, villages were outright destroyed, and hundreds of thousands of innocent lives were lost. These actions gave the Ustasha notoriety that struck fear into the hearts of anyone who dared cross
Yeah,
their
no
path.
kidding.
Nazi Army General Edmund Gleiser-Hochtenau witnessed firsthand the
This ain't Edmund nothing. This is Adolf III. Why do they all have the same stupid ass mustache?
atrocity of Pavlovich and the Ustasha, saying, quote, "Our troops have to be mute witnesses of such events. It does not reflect well on their otherwise high reputation. The Ustasha
Reputation?
have gone raging mad."
Okay, at least
That's
he knows what
pretty
he's talking
telling
about.
when even a Nazi general thinks you're being a bad dude.
Yeah.
After the Axis powers fell, Pavlovich got the hell out of Dodge, eventually fleeing to Argentina in 1948. But then
Okay.
some other surviving Ustasha members arrived. After a quick reunion of high fives and smooches, the gang wasted no time in forming the Croatian Liberation Movement.
Okay, so we're liberating.
Little
Okay.
buggers, weren't they? They were basically trying to control this from
What's that?
over here. It didn't work.
Why? That's so far
After an
away.
assassination attempt in 1957, Pavlovich hightailed it out of Argentina, eventually ending up in Spain, where he died of his injuries 2 years later.
Packed up, buddy.
This is Idi Amin, regarded as one of the cruelest dictators in
Idi Amin. Is this a black person for the first time? Black?
history. He
African?
had humble beginnings back in 1946, where he served in the colonial army as a cook's assistant. In addition
What type of lore? Yo, you were a chef? Okay. Black person and black wife. Dr. Umar will be proud of this.
in his military career, so he speed ran through promotions within the Ugandan army, making
Uganda.
it all the way up to captain in 1962.
Okay.
I'm the captain now.
All of this impressive progress received recognition from Ugandan Prime Minister Milton Obote, and
What is going on up here, okay? We got business on the side, party in the front and the back. This look like somebody's carpet got like pulled up out the ground. What do we... Yo, somebody got to get this man a lineup. Get him a fresh fade. Vic Blends. Somebody.
a friendship formed. Hey, hi. One that would be fruitful in many shady activities, including ivory and gold smuggling. After being threatened with investigation,
It's not
by
that
the
bad,
Ugandan
actually.
Parliament,
The lineup is
Obote
crazy, though.
overthrew King President Person Mutesa II and seized the position for himself
Okay.
in 1966. The ex-king was exiled to the UK, where he lamented over the loss of his country, ultimately drinking himself to death just 3 years later.
Okay.
Poor little guy.
After the coup, Obote promoted a now more rotund Amin to commander of the Ugandan army.
Okay, he got promoted.
Times must come to an end. Obote himself was a terrible ruler. His regime was plagued with corruption and terror, resulting in nationwide starvation and cruelties toward the Ugandan people.
You had one freaking job, and that was to feed your people.
Surprisingly, Obote had experienced a failed assassination attempt where he was shot through the teeth and out his cheek. The assassin missed, and Obote is pissed. So in response, he had any and all political parties banned.
He survived that? You survived a shot to the teeth and through the cheek? I ain't gonna lie, you gotta play that 50 Cent Many Men.
Members jailed for life. Meanwhile, Amin was in the corner doing his own thing, building up his beloved military for less than necessary fighting in neighboring wars.
Okay.
Obote didn't like that, and Amin didn't like that Obote didn't like that, so they began not liking each other. As a personal bitch
They not like us. They not like us. They don't like...
slap, Obote had stripped Amin of his freshly granted commanding privileges and threatened him with jail time for misappropriating military funds. But this only activated Amin's trap card, prompting a takeover of the Ugandan government while Obote was out and about doing president things.
Okay.
The Ugandan people, having just gone through years of...
Forget what he's talking about right now. This guy got all types of medals of honor, okay? These badges, here. He's a prestige master in Call of Duty, bro. I play these games. Get in respects game, okay? Keep it in that field, putting in that work, just like I was back in the day. Black Ops 1, talking to me.
Under Obote's regime, were pretty thrilled and cheered Amin's efforts. Woo. Now in control in 1971, Amin declared that the military would temporarily run the government until new elections could be run. He even promised to free all political prisoners. But he never did.
Damn.
In reality, he flew too close to the sun, taking comfort in its warmth.
What's
Just
that
a week later, Amin declared himself president of Uganda, commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Ugandan army chief of staff, and chief of air staff.
Okay.
The ego's starting to take over a bit.
So he's basically just the freaking dictator of Uganda.
With this uncontested power, Amin began systematic executions of anyone who, he believed, would oppose his rule. Roughly 15,000 civilians had disappeared, now believed to have been kidnapped and given front row tickets to Amin's newly constructed state-of-the-art torture facility.
As soon as they gave your dumb ass some power, you go and freaking start torturing your citizens just because you feel like they're a threat? This is why we need a democracy, man. We can't have a one-man ruler, bro. This is it always gets like this, every time.
However, this failed to slake Amin's thirst for blood. He soon expanded his list of victims to various groups throughout the country.
Like what?
We're talking artists, journalists, lawyers, students, senior members of government, foreign nationals, anyone who had even the most infinitesimally small tie to Obote. There were even rumors of Amin being a cannibal, or at least having tasted human meat, though it seems like he rated it 1 star as it was, quote, too salty for him.
You eat human meat? How much would y'all have to get paid to try a piece of human flesh, by the way? See, me personally, you know what? Let me not say what I was about to say. No.
Human rights organizations estimate that between 300,000 to 500,000 people were slain under Amin's tyrannical rule. Known as the Butcher of Africa, Idi Amin not only murdered his own people, but devastated the Ugandan economy as well.
Dude!
He had expelled around 80,000 business owners and seized...
You mean to tell me there's a dude named the African Butcher and we've never heard about this guy in our history books? How come they aren't teaching us this? He slayed 300 to 500,000 people? Maybe it's just because they don't teach African history at all, really.
Their property. So Amin walked up to an African stand and he said to the man running the stand, "Hey, bum,
get out of here or I'll kill you."
Oh.
Then he waddled away, waddle. These businesses, which were basically the country's economic backbone, were handed off to his inner circle. And they all quickly went bankrupt from mismanagement. Edie? More like idiot. Anyway. The businesses accounted for about 90% of the government's tax revenue, so government funds went poof.
Damn, okay.
Just like that. Amin became blinded with power, so much so that he was unable to see the inevitable brick wall that the country was heading towards.
Greedy, man.
His closest cabinet members, realizing that murdering everyone and crippling an economy aren't really the best long-term policies, started to defect, abandoning Uganda to seek safety elsewhere. Amin even began losing control over his own military. Coups and mutinies were commonplace as...
at that point, bro, I don't care. I'm starting a revolution against my own freaking government, dude, whatever, president, king. I don't care, bro. We have the military power, not you, buddy. You're fat. You're out of shape, and you look like a ranger.
Officers fought for power, but he had a plan.
What?
I have a plan. We're gonna take Tanzania. Alley-oop. He's just not as funny as oversimplified.
Wow. You're just gonna take another country? Okay.
Uh-oh. Tanzania fought back hard. In order to save face, the former 10-time Ugandan light heavyweight champion Amin had a plan.
What?
I have a plan. Yeah, Amin actually suggested a boots to asses 1v1 super slam, but the Tanzanian president had a plan of his own.
He called him out to a 1v1 in a boxing ring? Yo, there's no way that's real.
In the end, Amin was deposed and fled in exile, where he apparently ate up to 40 oranges a day until his death in 2003.
What? Who loves oranges that much? Luis Gavito.
Our last stop is definitely no picnic.
Okay.
Now, if this video wasn't satisfying enough, I do have more of these little evil bastards for another video.
Okay.
So if you want me to make it, let me know in the comments.
Got
While
you.
you're at it, let me know who you would want me to cover. For our last entry, we'll be taking a trip down to Colombia. Now, any of you Colombians out there might be familiar
the home of freaking Pablo Escobar, right? And who else? I don't know.
With this guy. But for those of us who
Sofia
don't
Vergara.
put cheese in our hot chocolate, let me introduce you to Luis Gavito, perhaps one of the most prolific serial killers in modern
He
history.
looked like a chill guy. Looked like a guy, you know, we could all be friends with.
This guy was a straight-up monster. Appropriately nicknamed La Bestia, or
Which means?
the Beast,
Oh.
Gavito was arrested in 1999 and convicted of murdering 193 children.
What?
Gavito's crimes began when he was just 15 in 1972.
You've been killing kids since you were 15 years old? The only time you should ever feel any type of rage towards a kid is when you're on a plane and there's a crying baby that can't shut the hell up. And even then, you should not be angry enough to take out any type of violence on it.
He reportedly suffered severe depression, psychosis, and paranoia, allegedly stemming from an extremely abusive and traumatic childhood at the hand of his father. Pairing all that mental anguish with crippling alcoholism and an aggressive personality, Gavito began compulsively forcing himself on young children. Disgusted by his own actions, he had attempted to seek help, attending church sermons.
No, there's no help, bro. End it all. Jump off a cliff, bro. I don't want to hear you. I don't want to hear your voice ever again. I don't want to see your face. I don't want to smell your odor. Nothing, bro. Don't. No. That's actually crazy. That's actually crazy.
Meetings and even seeing psychiatrists, wanting nothing more than to live a normal, happy life. But he was never able to claw himself out of the dark hole that he was in. Look, there's no denying that childhood trauma is tragic, but when you commit unspeakable acts of violence against innocent children, or really anyone for that matter, sympathy kind of goes out the window. Being a victim's one thing, creating victims is another.
True.
Moving into the 80s, Gavito's habits had only escalated. He emphasized that his urges to act out were constant and, according to him, uncontrollable. He would
You are an uncontrollable, raging EDP just walking around and roaming the earth? Yo, this guy's top 5 most evil people.
He would impulsively assault homeless children, and to make matters worse, began carrying razor blades and lighters to satiate his growing lust for violence.
What?
After each outburst and eventually regaining his composure, Gavito claimed that
They are already struggling with homelessness. They are already homeless. They already have nothing and they're in poverty, and then you gonna make their life even worse?
He would be overwhelmed with guilt. He would write down the names of his victims in a notebook and pray for their safety.
You prayed for the kids' safety after you were the one who touched them, forced yourself on them, hurt them, sliced them, burnt them. How are you the one who caused the evil and also praying for their safety? Yo, this guy is sick in the head. This guy is actually sick in the head. He's sick in the head. He's sick in the head.
At this point, his victim count had crossed above 100. Devastated by his supposedly uncontrollable impulses, he desperately tried to find any answers as to why he was the way he was.
Yo.
He looked to religion, astrology, the occult.
That's not gonna save you, bro.
That could potentially bring him some revelation.
No,
but during
man.
this little literary leap, he had stumbled upon a certain notorious autobiography. With each turn of the page, Gavito really started relating to this Adolf guy. I mean, they both suffered abusive childhoods, lived in poverty, are both complete dickholes, you know, that kind of stuff. Luis even went a bit further and began idolizing one Campo Delgado, a Colombian serial killer who had publicly murdered 28.
It's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So they told him, find God, seek help. He went to a psychiatrist, read the freaking Bible, and after that, he stumbled on the autobiography of Adolf himself. That is the worst form of literature that you can ever find, bro. Especially in this situation.
8 people, including his own mother, in the 1980s.
Wait, what?
Who had published a bit further and began idolizing one Campo Delgado, a Colombian serial killer who had publicly murdered 28 people, including his own mother, in the 1980s.
Yo.
More specifically, he admired the national attention that Delgado received and wanted to experience that firsthand.
You're weird.
Now, the 1990s.
Why don't you start streaming on Twitch or something, bro? Start like freaking begging for subs. Become the next Kai Cenat, bro. Be famous like that, bro.
Gavito really went off the rails. He was now apathetic in his crimes. He felt nothing. No remorse, no sorrow, nothing. With all emotional ties cut, Gavito's actions hit an apex.
Okay.
Across this decade, Luis committed the mass murder and assault of hundreds of children. In disguise, he lured victims into secluded areas in broad daylight where they were assaulted, stabbed, cut, burned, beaten, eviscerated, and dismembered. After their passing, the victims were often placed in dozens of mass graves scattered across the countryside, with some containing as many as 40 bodies. Now, you can't really hide violence of that caliber for long, so eventually the graves were discovered in 1998, and an official investigation was launched.
Okay.
Because of his continued alcoholism, Gavito's work was sloppy. He would often leave articles of clothing, liquor bottles, and various belongings at his crime scenes. Honestly, it's kind of weird that it took so long.
How you a serial killer and you suck, bro?
And get caught, but the mountains of evidence did eventually lead to his arrest in 1999. While being interrogated, Gavito confessed to the murder of hundreds of children. Now, of course, in order to prevent the large, sandpapery, unlubed fist of YouTube from giving my butthole an identical neighbor, I of course cannot go into the nitty-gritty of the crimes.
Okay.
Morbidly curious little deviants would have to look that up for yourselves. But I'll say I didn't warn you. In the end, Gavito's crimes rightfully warranted a sentence of up to 1,853 years.
Yeah, give him plus 9 days. Oh, they just put the seasoning on top of a little salt and pepper on that motherfucker. That's like 20 generations, bro. Get him out of here, bro. Get him out of here.
In prison. That's pretty great. Except for the fact that Colombian law at the time prevented any sentence from being longer than 40 years. And get this, since he had given a full confession and even helped investigators find the bodies, his sentence was further reduced down to just 22 years, and the Colombian population was pissed. But luckily, in 2021, Gavito's parole was personally denied by the Colombian president, who vowed that he would never be a free man again. And he never was. Luis Gavito was diagnosed with eye cancer and died in prison in 2023.
Okay, good.
It was a real doozy, wasn't it? Looks like you need to clean your mind of all this negativity.
Damn, well, that was the most evil people you've never heard of. We talked about dudes in freaking Croatia. We talked about dudes in Colombia and Uganda, and there was another country that I'm just forgetting off the top of my head. This video was definitely very informational. Taught us a lot of things that we never really ever knew. Maybe recency bias, but the last dude was absolutely crazy. The fact that he was only attacking children and like being a freaking child slayer, like that is actually just like crazy, bro. But that was gonna do it for today's video. Make sure you like, subscribe, join my Discord link in the description. Recommend me any new videos you want me to check out. As always, have a great rest of your day. It's Love Hit Law. I love you, and I'm out.